Down when you're saying any chidushim, just go through some shilas, basic. You say this in Krias Hatorah, that classic shilas, but I think it's good bite on some basic questions. So first discuss some questions. Is there a chiyuv to hear brachos when you come to Shul Shabbos? Chamer Reish Pei Daled writes, if Gimel, it's a milo. Person should try to hear the brachos and the brachos of the Hatorah to get to mashla meya brachos. Is there a chiyuv to it? You have to go to the bathroom. Practically, do you have an inyan to hear the brachos? I'm learning. I'm being Medrash Ohr. Should I stop and listen to meya brachos? I'm going to get the meya brachos. I want to finish. I want to be Medrash Ohr. Is there a chiyuv? Is there a mitzvah to hear the brachos? If the person who made the brachos made low, he said the brachos low. Bar mitzvah kid, he says the brachos low. What's the halach over here? Should you run over to hear it? Sometimes they say it that low that sometimes 10 people hear it, sometimes not even 10 people hear it. Do you have to say it again? Does he have to say the brachos again? You've seen that. We'll just discuss the nekudas. When the person makes the brachos, they have to mechavan to the tzibur. So everybody knows Parshas Zachim, like whole blue, and they have in mind Sefer. Everybody knows you have in mind to make the brachos to invite to the tzibur. Does that apply to regular brachos by Ali as well? Okay, so let's discuss the getter of the brachos. Now about the Krias as well. Does the Balkari have to mechavan to the tzibur? Is there a chiyuv for the Balkari to have in mind the tzibur after you have in mind to be yaitze? What happens if the Balkari lanes low? He swallowed a word. Part of the tzibur didn't hear. Not even 10 people didn't even hear. What happens if they chop only after laning? What's the halacha? Again, no chidushim, just to discuss the classic things that happen, the halacha l'maisa. If a yachid missed a few words, does he have a chiyuv? What's he mechuyev to do? So if you're davening here, so you go to the other minion if you want to. But you have to be tereach. You have to be tereach to go to another shul. In Manzi, it could be a mahalach here if you're living not in the smetna. Is it shaykh? You have to go to the bathroom. You'll have to go to the bathroom. It'll include Krias Hatorah. You might miss part of the lighting. Now, if there are mistakes that they ask the Balkari after laning. They go over to him. Mom was right after Hag, but did you say this and this word? And what are you doing? B'shas Maisi, you don't have to be Hadar and L'Gayrim, but you don't have to do it with all Hidurim, but coming afterwards, what happens after laning? What happens then? You realize that there was a mistake. Bar mitzvah kids, sometimes they lane. It's B'nai Yisrael Yotzim Biyad Rama already. By Biyad Rama, he's already looking. He's all over the B'nai Yisrael Yotzim Biyad Rama, and he's looking to his coach or to his father. He didn't say it. He didn't say it inside. What's the halach in such a case? And this is not common, but it can happen. Last Shabbos was mamish old for that. They showed the Balkari showed the Balkari showed the oil. He showed him the wrong place. There's another 2 or 3 in Parshas Va'era, and if the Glila person was trying to find the Tefer beforehand, then he showed him the wrong way. It's all Nase also that happens. Nase Shreish B'nai Gershain and Nase B'nai Kahas. That's Shvi in Parshas Bamidbar. He made the bracha on the wrong thing. What happens in such a case? No, nothing fancy. Just this is a classic shilas that happen all the time. So let's first discuss the halacha of Krias Hatorah. What's the getter of Krias Hatorah b'chlal? So it's Yadu. I'm sure it's been Dashu Rabbim. Everybody's been discussed it already. What's the getter of Krias Hatorah? What's the getter of the chiyuv? Rabbi Yosef Engel. They all talk about it, but in Siyunim L'Torah, it's just a nice maramokim. Ois Tes, he declares what's the getter of the chiyuv of Krias Hatorah. Mistapakti mitzvah Krias Hatorah man yona. Machiv well shmiel divrei Torah and ikroim. Is there a chiyuv shmiel? Ishbam smuchiyov and kol acharech l'dikros. Is there a chiyuv kriya? Everybody has to be kaira. What's a chiyuv shmiel? You don't have to be kaira. He starts out the Gemara Baba Kambas week's parsha ve'echol shleish siyam midbar v'leim atzumayim. That Moshe Rabbeinu made a takana every 3 days, Monday, Thursday, Shabbos. The Klal Yisrael shouldn't go 3 days without Torah. The person dies without water for after 3 days. Without Torah, a person can't survive without Torah. Going 3 days without it, the person loses his mind. Al kol panim, the chiyuv, if it's a chiyuv of Torah, of Talmud Torah, like the Goyin, he starts with the Goyin in Zayin, that Berachas Torah, you make Berachas Torah on Shiur as well, and therefore you be yotzei Talmud Torah with Shmiya. So then a person with the chiyuv of Krias Hatorah is machmas less than Talmud Torah. It's a mitzvah part of the mitzvah Talmud Torah. It's v'yachol b'mimah shleishim b'yachol midvar v'leimatzu mayim. It's a din of Talmud Torah. So in Mela, Shmiya, the whole chiyuv l'chayr should be Shmiya. That's how he starts. Now, this all over. It's all over Shas, Gemara, and Eruvin. It's a Chaim Mitzayim, and there's a mitzvah. Obviously, the person's clearly a mitzvah Talmud Torah. He said that's the name of Zikaron. That's just Milos Chazal. Chazal say it's a good thing to speak out. This way you remember better. But the mitzvah Talmud Torah, he wants to say he says the bikr like the Goyin. Now he doesn't shtal tzud Mechaber even. Mechaber argues. Mechaber says you don't make Berachas Torah on Shiur. You only make Berachas Torah on Dibur Ksiva as well. It's not enough to hear. Now, it could be the Mechaber also holds that Talmud Torah yotzei b'Hiur. It could be v'agisa b'yom v'layla. But Berachas Torah, just like there's a machlekes in the Gemara, if you make on psukim, if you make on mishnayos, the chefetz of Torah is what? So yeah, the chefetz that you're mekayim the what's mechayev a bracha is according to the Mechaber is dibur ksiv. It's enough of ma'is. The Goyin says the Goyin is enough. Could be the Mechaber is also made that maybe that's why there's bring the Mechaber. It could be everybody holds that. It's just it's not enough for Berachas Torah. However, even according to the Goyin, if Shinat of Shum Chodan B'Ficha, if Shinat of Torah, the way it's Torah gave over the mitzvah Talmud Torah was beped. There's also v'agisa yom halayla, but there's a zikr and ma'ila in Talmud Torah beped, and more than that, kriya b'tzibur. Even if it's a mitzvah of shmiya, but there's a musig of kriya b'tzibur. There's a musig of being kair b'Torah. There's a musig of shinatam to say it out. Each Chofetz Chaim says every word is a mitzvah. There's clearly. So there's halachas here. You can mahar in a connected error. You can't say it. There's an Indian of speaking to the Torah also. Avad it's a mile in Talmud Torah, but it's not stam. It's not just the way the Yos Vengel is saying it's Indian for Zikaron. It's zikr mila in the tzur of Talmud Torah. And regardless, even if it's not, it could be the kriya. The takon is kriya. It's not muchach. Even if it's v'yachol b'mimah shleishim b'leimatzu mayim, and it's machos less than Talmud Torah, but it could be the dag of Talmud Torah v'shinatim. You say it with your mouth. It's not muchach that if it's Talmud Torah that it's not a din. It's not a din in kriya. Now he brings it on Taisus and Sukkah, famous time. I'm sure they saw Taisus and Sukkah afternoon Bays that the person who makes the bracha. There's doesn't have to say it loud. Taisus over there talks about Alexander Shemotzrayim. There's a sukkah here. There's a sukkah.
I should have bought it.
I get sharpsias. Taisus and Sukkah Dafton Bays. I haven't saw Taisus. Maybe not. Taisus writes over there that how do you answer Amen? How do they answer the Menifim B'Sudarin? In Alexander Shemotzrayim, there's a massive shul, thousands of people. So Taisus says over there, Mefurish, that V'ad Ayin Amen B'Nafas Sudarin Hanu B'Kriyas Sefer Torah V'lai B'Tfila V'lai B'Davar Sheshliach Tzibur Moitzi Rab Midei Chayvasan. That the Hanafas Sudarin was a problem. The Gemara figures out has a problem. How can you answer Amin Yisayim on something you don't know? That's by brachas that the chazan's being made to the tzibur. So then you can't do it without knowing what the bracha is. But by Berachas Torah, that they did Hanafas Sudarin, V'hadayin Amin B'Hanafas Sudarin, by lifting the flags, Hainu B'Kriyas Sefer Torah V'lei B'Tfila. So Mefurish and Taisus, when you're making the bracha, you can answer Amen on Berachas Torah of the Oila. He's not being moitzi the tzibur dei chayvasan. So he's understanding, just like the Oila, it's not an exact sushto, but he says just like the Oila is not moitzi with the bracha. Likewise, just like the Oila is not moitzi with the bracha. Likewise, the Balkair is not mitzvah tzibur b'dei chavasa. That's what he starts with, and he says it's not a raya. It could be the brachas al tkavod Hatorah. It's not a brachas mitzvahs, but the Balkair could be used being mitzvah. It's not muchach. Now Lamaisa, he brings a Rav Yoah afterwards. Rav Yoah asks the Kash on Taisus, what's Taisus talking about? He's not mitzvah the tzibur. The person who's getting the aliyah is being mitzvah the tzibur with his bracha. It's before Rav Yoah. He asks on Taisus, doesn't understand what Taisus is saying. Avadi is being mitzvah the tzibur they chayvasan. We'll see later on. There's a Rav in Umam says behead you like that. It's very very strong. The kriya and the bracha. Al kol panim. So Rav Yoah Kufnin Tess asks what's Taisus talking about? Avadi is being mitzvah. So we have a machlekes for Scheiner. We have before machlekes for Scheiner and Taisus and the Rav Yoah. What's the gather of the oil making a bracha? Is he being mitzvah? Taisus before is not being mitzvah the tzibur the chayvasan. There's the bracha. We're not talking about the kriya yet, but he's not being mitzvah the tzibur the chayvasan. And Taisus and Rav Yoah says mefurish he doesn't understand Taisus. Now really it's machlekes mechaber and Ramah. That's really machlekes mechaber and Ramah by Suma. If can you be mal assume? The mechaber doesn't allow Suma Amoris they can't read. They can't get an aliyah. The Ramah says he goes with Maril if it's makam atzarich he's going to rely on that. Now, if the bracha is being made to the tzibur, if he's being made to the tzibur with the bracha, so let him be a summa. But everybody else has to be a yitzay. He's being made to the tzibur. If it's a bracha, he's just making for himself. He's not being made to the tzibur, so then he has to lane. Theoretically, that's really the Nakud Machlaikas. The Tash tell to the Megillah, and Mishmur is very upset. The Biur is very upset about telling with Sushel from Megillah. If he's being mitzvah everybody like Megillah, so then he can be mitzvah everybody as well with the bracha. If it's just an Indian who's making the bracha, he's not being mitzvah anybody. He's being mitzvah himself. No, he can't. He's takapater. He's mufka from it. The mela, if it's he can't be mitzvah with he can't be mitzvah the bracha. What?
How can you mitzvah everyone else? He's not reading.
But he's being everybody else is chaim. Everybody else is chaim. So you're saying he's not a bar chiyuva? He's Ari the Reveal. What?
He's reading. He's making a bracha, and that's mitzvah the bracha.
Yeah, because
he's not reading along.
So the Talish tells through Megillah. How's everyone the same thing as Megillah?
Himself,
what?
He should make.
So likewise he's being yaitzi. He's making a bracha. Whatever everybody has to be yaitzi, he also has to be yaitzi. He's going to be the same shemei kain. He's going to also be yaitzi with the balkair. If the bracha is just on him, on his reading, it's a bracha covered Hatorah. He's not being mitzvah anybody, anything. So then he better be, unless you're going to learn Bakar is being mitzvah him. That's the Biur Halacha's yesh litchayk. But otherwise he has to read himself. But if the word is everybody has to be with the bracha, so he's a mouthpiece for the whole tzibur. Now Chopanim. So regarding Shiloh 1. Does the Mavarech have to be mechavan to be mitzvah? Does the Mavarech have to have in mind to be mitzvah the tzibur? It's really it's machlekes for Scheiner. It's machlekes Taisus and the Rav Yoah every time. Forget Parshas Zohar. Stop. Every time a person gets an aliyah, does he have to have in mind to be mitzvah the tzibur? Is he being mitzvah the tzibur with the bracha? That's the machlekes mechaber and the Ramah, and that's that we just mentioned by Yisuma, and that's the machlekes the Taisus and the Rav Yoah. Now, according to the Ramah, he's being mitzvah everybody, like by Megillah. Unless you can say he's mighty just himself, and Makayr is being mechamti mighty him. But Akopanim Pashtus, he's being mighty according to it's Mefurish and Rav Yoah. L'chayr that's the Mahalach and the Maril. He's being the Reivile. He's being mighty everybody. So therefore, it's not a problem. Let the Sum make a bracha. He's on to hate. So clearly, it would be an inyan lekatchila to have in mind to be yaitzi. Hishim mechavan to be mighty, and the tzibur should have in mind to be yaitzi. Now. The Mechaber writes, it's a good thing from to answer Amen. Mechaber writes in Reish Peidal and Gimel, it's a good thing from to answer Amen, to hear it this way you'll be kind the Mei Brachas. Without the Mei Brachas, you're mechuyev to hear the Brachas. Mechaber L'Shita say that it's not that he's doing it's just for himself. What happens if he didn't say there weren't 10 people that heard? There weren't 10 people that heard. So the Biur Halacha L'Maisa brings down Yerabah, the end of Kuf Lamites. Mechaber writes, he says Baruch and the Baruch is B'Kol Ram. Whoever says it quietly, Taya. When you read the Shulchan Aruch, and that's what the Shulchan reads, it's mash. You have to take the brachas as well. You have to, if 10 people didn't hear, then you should know that he wasn't yaitz. It's a bracha l'atol. He has to say the bracha again. That's how the Shulchan reads it. The Mishnah Berurah goes with the Biur Halacha goes with El Yerabah, and he says Mechaber is just going on Baruch. on the Baruch Hu part. If there weren't 10 people that heard, you weren't Yaitse Baruch Hu. But the Brichas Hatorah, that's fine. He's Yaitse. Now, really, Rabbi Scheiner writes. First, the Bais brings Rabbi Scheiner. Navada has to make the bracha once again. He has to make to the tzibur. He's going with those shittas that you have to make to the tzibur. If there's no tzibur that heard, you made a bracha l'vatala. The Bi'alacha goes passing like the Yerabba, who understands in Maria Boyav that technically when he says he has to remake the bracha, it's only al tzbarchu. Al tzbarchu is takos yaitz. Bais Medrash writes the same. Hasidim writes that. Right, they're telling the same thing. If it's the point of being made to the tzibur, if you don't have a tzibur that heard you, you have to make the bracha again. That's how the Aruch HaShulchan paskins in the Shulchan Aruch. Bi'alacha, when he's passing, he's going with El Yerab in the Shulchan Aruch. The Itaka doesn't have to. He doesn't make the bracha again. Baruch he has to say again, but the bracha b'diavad you say. If it's made to the tzibur, so you aren't made to the tzibur. If the word is covered Hatorah, so it's enough that he makes risk of it. Bi'alacha says maybe if you don't have 10 people hearing, it could be not covered Hatorah. But Al Kopanim he's going yesh lodan. But Al Kopanim is masik that. Covered Hatorah even for himself. That's enough. It's covered Hatorah not being made to the tzibur. Right. So according to what I'm saying now, you shouldn't. I could learn Summa differently. I could learn that Summa. The reason doesn't let Summa is not a Baruch Yibachal. It's not a. It's mafka from the Chiyuv.
That's saying the word. That's why the top of passages like that. It says because he can't read it.
Right. So, but he's still being made to the tzibur. I understand. Is it because you're being made to the? So for the bracha, the tzibur has to hear the brachas. He can't. Is it his chiv? He's making the bracha on his reading of the Torah, or he's making a tzibur to be made to everybody. By McGill, he's also not reading, but it doesn't. Who cares? There's another 60 people in Shul are hearing. If your point is because I'm making a bracha on my reading of the Torah, that's covered Torah, that each person who gets up makes a bracha, he's got a problem. That's why the Chaber says no good. But if the point is I'm making the bracha because the whole shul has to be yaitz, there's a chiv on everybody to hear the brachas, and the person who's getting the li is being yaitz with the brachas, who cares? That should be the machlokes. It's the same machlokes as Teis the Rav L'chayra. I could learn it differently. I don't know. The Aruch HaShulchan he says a teich dvar, but you see that's the way. That's all according to the way the Mishnah Berurah is learning. Now. The Bi'alacha has a problem. Where's the covenant Torah if the tzibur doesn't hear it? You could say the covenant Torah is on the oil, each person. It's not much that covenant Torah is. It has to be dafka 10 people. It could be one person who's also covenant Torah. So now the machlokes that we said, the shaila we declaring if a person has to be mechamed to be mitzi is totally in this shaila. Now, with the Mechaber writes in Reish Pei Daled, they have to listen. He doesn't. Mechaber l'shitasi, according to what I'm learning, the Mechaber l'shitasi. He doesn't say because you have to listen to the bracha. You have to listen to the brachas. No, he said only to get the mea brachas. Because the Mechaber l'shitasi goes that he's not being mitzi. It's covered of the person being oil. It's for the brachas for him. So Mela, you're not going to be. You're not chayiv in the bracha. You don't have to be yaitz chayiv, but. I'll mashal mea brachas. Can I hear it? But if you hold like the Ramah, that if we're right what we're saying in the Ramah, if you're going with the Rabbi, if you're going with the shittas that hold that the tzibur has to be yaitz, so they have to hear the brachas anyways. Now you may wonder, not everybody hears a shiur on is there a chiyuv on. Not everybody's knowledgeable of machlekes Rav and Tosfos. There are people like that don't know there might be a sheet that holds you're mechuyev to be mitzi the tzibur with the brachas. If that's the case, so if they don't know that they're never mechamed to be mitzi. Shemei kain, you need a kavanah shemei mashmiya. So you're never yotzi. How could you ever be yotzi? There's a chiyuv. You have to clap eyes. Everybody, the balkayah, the oilish have in mind to be mitzi, and we don't do that. So Ramesh has a tshuva about a chazaras hashatz. I don't know why they don't teach kids in 8th grade when you're down for the Amud and you're saying Kedusha. The Muslim Shabbat or Baruch Meir they say very loud, and the pasuk of Kaddish and Baruch they don't say loud. You want to be mitzi to whoever's in the middle of Shemoneh Esrei, Machlekes Rashi Meir Tam. We paskin that you should be mitzi. They should teach the kids. Pull every 13 years. You're down for the Amud. You say Kedusha, say Kaddish, say the psukim loud, say Baruch loud, say Yimlech loud. This way the person in Shemoneh Esrei should be able to be yotzi Shemei Kain. That's the halacha. Machlekes Rashi Meir Tam say paskin. But the question is, but the 13-year-old kid, you also have to tell him to mind to be mitzi. Doesn't have a mind to be mitzi. What's going to help? Ramesh writes in a tshuva that doesn't matter. He says chazaras hashatz unless you tell if a person is a suffix if it was yaitzi. Ramesh writes Chel Gimel. I think it has. I'm going to spend time looking for it now. Ramesh writes in a tshuva chazaras hashatz. Most people, if you need to be yaitzi Shemoneh Esrei again, tell him. because the Ikar Takana nowadays is not, if you have a suffix, I don't know if I said Yalav Yavi, you have a, let's say in a case where it's not Pashi, you say Shemon Esrei again, say Talmud Racha, you want to hear, you asked about Tefillah to be Mitzvah Shemon Esrei. That would be an Eitzah. But you got to tell him. You got to tell about Tefillah, I need you to be Mitzvah me. Because nowadays, they're not being Mitzvah Shemon Esrei. However, by Kedusha, Ramesha Paskins, by Kedusha, even if you don't tell him, automatically, since that's Takana to be Mitzvah, it's Chel Gimel Siman down. Let the Baal Tefillah say Kedusha b'Kol Ram. Kadesh Yishmu Elo Ayin Shem Nemetzat Tefillah. This way the people should have. L'shmai me'achad me'atzibur. Somebody standing next to you. Lo yatsa. Avol me'ashatz yaitze. Afshim is banenu ein ashatz moitzi. Normally shatz is not moitzi. The Kollel can give you this kind of moitzi. If you stam die to last ketakana. Stam Baal Tefillah is last ketakana. So I take that back. It could be if somebody is not sure. It's in the middle of davening and you got stuck and you're holding. You don't know if you said tell much. And let's say you don't want to get into machlekes of 90 times. Machlekes of Scheiner. You want to avoid it. Make a suffix where you're stuck. And you're holding my moedim, and you realize you don't know if you said tell much l'racha. So if you stop and let the Baal Tefillah say it, even though the Baal Tefillah has no intention to see anybody. According to this tshuva, since that's takana, the ikar takana is the mitzi. So even if he doesn't have intention, he's das is whatever the takana is. The male, the person gets the aliyah, the person who's balkairei. We'll see it'll be a get for that balkairei as well. It's machlekes v'shainim what the getter of Krias is. You might see kriya, a shemei kainer or not. So even in this gefährlich, so you're thinking, well, it's a bracha Hatorah, everything I'm saying, because nobody's thinking when you might see this gefährlich. This tshuva Ramesha says, if that's the ikar takana, so male, you do whatever takana is, and takana is the might see become a shemei mashmiya, that'll be fine as well.
He's not aware he's supposed to be mitzvah people to begin with.
That's what Moshe exactly what he's saying. He's saying it doesn't matter. But his thing, whatever Chazal, Aldas Chazal, whatever Chazal say. Since what?
Can you say the same thing Kiddush and Havdalah?
Kiddush and Havdalah, no. I wouldn't say the Kiddush. It's not. You're doing something. You're doing a mitzvah. There's a mitzvah to say it yourself, and a mitzvah not to say it for others. No, if I would not be Yotze Kiddush. Somebody who I'm chayshish doesn't know to have kavanas mashmiya. I wouldn't be Yotze with him. I would be concerned because Chazal made on the shliach tzibur. You are doing what shliach tzibur is. When you're making kiddush, Chazal didn't say you have to be to anybody else. It's not that con to make kiddush for others. Grab you can be Yotze make kaina. But Rav is an Indian too. But it's not. You can make it. There's a heft of kiddush without being to others. There's no heft of chazar sashatz of shliach tzibur without doing what takana is. That's the kon he mitzvah. So you're mitzvah.
If you have a mind, then not going to be people out and saying, "Amen." Make it tonight.
Yeah, so it's still okay. Well, it's,
with that shepherd.
No. That person I trust. I tell every Baal Tefillah when it's a small minion. Have in mind make it tonight. Yeah, that's one of shach. If there's nine items, so it's chazar sashatz and it's good. And if it's not, would that help the fellow? I don't know. What will happen in such a case is okay. Well, that's another conversation.
To get up that they're so low and fast you can't stand
So do you have to? I'm going to get there. I'm getting there. Right now I'm on the Mavarich. We'll get to the Balkaira soon. So let's go back to Bais Medrash suffix. So as far as bracha, we have a machlekes Rishonim. I'm not saying it's muchach, but it's ganz mistamber that could be the machlekes the mechaber and the Ramah. So now let's then Gabi go back to Bais Medrash suffix. What's the getter of Krias Hatorah? So first he started Shmir, he said it's machmas lasan Talmud Torah. Then he brings a raya from a Gemara in Tainas of Chavches by the Mamodos. He brings that B'shachos v'musaf v'ntaslu b'saknes. It's a brayz in Tainas of Chavches. The current k'derach shekarin kol hashana. They would read the Torah like normally. U'lemincha yochid Krias al peh. And mincha yochid would learn it for everybody al peh. Omer basically yochid Krias divrei Torah al peh. But tzibur, it's possible. Yochid might see others divrei Torah. But tzibur el kul nichnasen v'karin oisan al peh. So every k'derach shekarin shema. That's the brayz. Everybody would learn it like Krias Shema. You can't have one person being might see others Baal Peh. So there's a Taisa Yishamim in Yuma Daf Ayin. The story with the Kohen Gadol that he used to lay inside and at the At the end, he would learn Seder Ayoim. He would learn also Shabuchus Akudim Kari Al Peh. In Gittin it says Dvarim Shemiksav Yatar Hashem Al Peh. So how could the Kohen learn also Shalchum Shabukudim to read the Psukim in Emoyer? How could he read that Al Peh? The mitzvah min Amulchur Likros Oisa Shemiksav. Okay, that's one teretz. He's saying Seder Ayoim. It's Ke'en Tfilas Musafin. Then you could read it Al Peh. Ach Koshel Rabbeinu Al Parshas Korban Shamayim Mechoyim Al Peh Ve'ena Sidra Shel Yom. How do you learn Seder Korbanos? How do you say Parshas Korbanos every day? Al Peh. Rabbeinu Dainu Time She'ena Moitzi Rab Midei Chavasim. You're not being Moitzi the Rab Midei Chavasim. The Ketzer Tyson holds it's brought down some days maybe. There's a shit in the Scheiner that holds there's no Isser of Dvarim Shachsav Yatar Shem Al Peh only if it's not to be only if it's being mitzi others. If you're not being mitzi others, then there's no problem. Now by Krias Hatorah, Rabbi Fengel brings from this, and he brings from the Gemara and Tainis that we just mentioned. If it's not being mitzi others with your kriya, you just have to be shemeyet. You're not being mitzi. So what's the problem with being Dvarim Shemiksav? No problem. If I have to be mitzi, it says Taisi Shalom says that the isser of Dvarim Shemiksav Yatar Shem Al Peh is only if I'm being mitzi. If I'm not being mitzi you, and therefore the Krias Hatorah of Rosh Hashanah, it's only Siddur Shel Yom. Now, what do you mean? If Krias Hatorah is only Shmiya, not Kriya, I'm never being mitzi. I'm saying it, and it's a mitzvah for you to listen. If it's machmas less than Talmud Torah to hear the words, I'm never being mitzi. He's understanding from this Taisi Shalom. He's understanding from what we said in the Tainis that Rabbi Yossi asked, how could somebody lane and be mitzi others if it's Baal Peh? You can never be mitzi any other. You can't be mitzi others Baal Peh. The rule is only something you're being mitzi others. If Chris they're not being mitzi you, so then there shouldn't be a problem. The same way if I say Parshas Korbanos, I could say it. It's only being mitzi. So here, Bais Medrash wants to bring a eye from here to the other side that it's from this Taisi Shalom, it's a Chiv Kriya because clearly I'm being mitzi you. I don't understand why it's such a raya mechetzes. I don't see why it's mochach. If I'm being mitzi Shmi also, it doesn't not the word I'm being mitzi al Shmei Kohen. That's not from the Kudim. The Kudim, I'm saying for others, the Torah doesn't want to create. It's psukim. It's midiraisa. The Torah doesn't want. There's a musik called Krias Torah. I didn't start with this, but I'm saying b'chlal is Krias Torah diraisa Rabbanan. So as you do a Shitas Rashi in Brachas Taf Yud Gimel, the Krias Torah is diraisa. Taisasin le'matzinu except Parshas Ohr and Parshas Par, the famous Taisus, the Parshas Par is diraisa. What's Rashi talking about? How could you say Moshe Rabbeinu was masaking? It's the Moshe Rabbeinu, but that's not a din diraisa. I'm thinking that even if it's not a chiv diraisa on Shabbos, but there's a chefza called Krias Torah b'tzibur, like a famous from Chaim. You can only have tefillas. You hold tefillas the Rabban, like there's tefillas the Rabban. Birchas Kanim you can only do by avodah by tefillah. He said even if the chiv is the Rabban, but there's a chefza tefillah b'diraisa. There's a musik of tefillah b'diraisa. Even if there's no the actual chiv, Krias Torah vayta, there's a musik. The Rabbi gave us a Torah. He wants us to read it. There's a musik of Klai Yisrael reading Torah. There's no question that the Rabbi gave us the Kishem Hashem Ekro Havagud Elkenu. It's a diraisa Birchas Torah according to the Rabban. The Gemara and Brachas Davchav. There's a musik of Krias Torah b'diraisa. When the chiv was okay, that Moshe Rabbeinu was masakim. But is such a mitzias. Like Korban Sefer Torah Shalikim. There's such a musik. So in Mela, Dvarim Shemiksav Yatar Shem Al Peh. That's the Rashi Dikadin. When I'm learning in the Torah, which the Rabbi gives the Torah, part one, there's a musik of Krias Tzibur. That Avana needs. I don't think Meitzal Shemei in your Chiv Kriya. Let it be a Chiv Shmei. But there's such a mitzvah that I'm doing something to be Meitzal the Tzibur to say that the Tzibur should hear that they would apply Dvarim Shemiksav Yatar Shem Al Peh even if it's not a Chiv Kriya. Let it be a Chiv Shmei. But the idea is that any Kriya Tzibur. Absolutely done. So Al Kopanim, he brings a raya from here. From this text, Shonim, and he brings a raya from this Bais and Tainis, which Rabbi Yossi said, since when can a Yachid Mitzi Tzibur? He understands the Krias Torah by my mother's is going to have the same halacha as regular Krias Torah, and therefore he wants to learn from the prat to learn to the klal that Krias Hatorah is a chiyuv kriya and being mighty the tzibur.
Comments about us reading how Balpaz is going to be an issue.
For sure, of course, for sure, it's to be an issue. There's a Ramesha. I'm gonna. If it's matters how long he slept. If you start with Bnei Yisrael, we got a problem. Rama, no, it's a Ramesha. I'm gonna get there. So now, these are all rayas. It's the way you're supposed to bring a raya from the Gemara, from the Scheiner. But then he brings a Maribruna, who brings from a revival that you're not Yotze Shema Targum. Krias Hatorah. Theoretically, I heard Krias Hatorah once. I just need one. She won. Mary Bal says no. You're not because you're not yet. Because the chiyuv is a shmi. It's a radvas like that. It's mufurish. The Balchor is not being mighty the tzibur. The chiyuv kriya. The mitzvah 7 people should get aliyus, and the tzibur should hear. It's not a chiyuv kriya according to the Ibuna. What? What do you mean that could be Yitzhak?
He can be used in his part that he's doing. He's doing.
About it. Yeah. So that's clear. You're going with it. He has to say that if you're going with assume, let's say assume is he chayiv to? Yeah, of course. Why not? Of course, he's saying it. The truth is, I used to learn by a tremendous Talmud Chacham in Bnei Brak who he said things very slowly. So when he would get an aliyah, after Yaina, he would read the first 3 psukim and then stop afterwards. That to learn everything, you should stop. If somebody has a hard time learning every pasuk, if he learns the first 3 psukim, that should be enough. You don't have to learn everything. As long as you can make a bracha, and you need a bracha on 3 psukim, it still might be an eitzah. If a person's having a hard time, let's say you didn't catch up. The Balkar is that bar mitzvah kid who's learning, who's flooring it, and you can't keep up. Nishkeferlach. It's not the end of the world. It's what? If you read 3 psukim. If you read 3 psukim, then so then you'd be good. Al Kopanim, that's parenthetic. Al Kopanim, he brings there's a Tzemach Tzedek that he brings a raya from Cotton. He brings a raya from Cotton. Medina the Gemara Cotton can be oil from the Shiva Kruim. How can he can't be mitzi? And normally the Ba'oila was the one who the lane. A Cotton can't be mitzi. So l'chayr it's a raya that's a chiv shmiyah, not a chiv shmiyah. He's saying it. Who says you need a bar chiyuva? But if he's being mitzi, the tzibur with a chiv kriya, it's impossible for a Cotton. Taisus in Rosh Hashanah Ma'isa says first not like Taisus in Rosh Hashanah says by the since the chiv derabanan. You could be yaitza. So like the Gemara in Brachas, the Chafam Beis that a Cotton theoretically might see his father. If he had a Shiur Dirais, he had a Shiur Derabanan. There's a musig that a Cotton could be might see. Taisus deals with it. Taisus says, I don't care. It's the Derabanan. It's Lish Kefarlach. Okay. Now Kopanim, according to that shita, according to the Maribruna, according to Marivail, there's no chiyuv. There's no chiyuv kriya, there's a chiyuv shmiyah, you just have to hear it. According to Rav Yada, we mentioned earlier that there's a chiyuv to mitzi with the brachis. It's ganz mistaber that by kriya and halachas applied. No, it was a mefurish Ravan, his grandfather. The Rav's grandfather. The Ravan says mefurish. Why do you say Baruch Hu? He asked the question, why do you say Baruch Hu? Why don't you just start with the bracha? Where's Baruch Hu come from? He says, he's basically saying, Rabbi say, you are chayiv to be yotze brachas, you are chayiv to be yotze kriya, I'm going to be mitzi you, Baruch Hu, be mishtatif and bench to the bench that and I'm being mighty you. He's basically saying Baruch was basically telling him Savri because I'm being mighty you, so bench to the bench as well. I'm being mighty your chiyuv. He says mafurish in the brachas and in the kriya. It's mafurish Ravan. So he clearly learns as a chiyuv kriya. Now we have machlokes Rishonim if there's a chiyuv kriya or a chiyuv shmiyah. If it's a chiyuv kriya, so it's you're being mighty with shemei kaina. Back to machlokes Rishonim. It's kavana nishkeferlach. We have that Ramesha that basically covers it for us. Even if they don't have a bad the kavana nishkeferlach. Now, even if there's a chiv kriya, still yesh ladun. I'm sure everybody spoke about this. But nishkeferlach and mismanaged by chiddush. So is it a chayvus gaver or is it a chayvus sibur? What's the even if we say it's a chayvus kriya, is it a chayvus gaver or is it a chayvus sibur? Is it a chayva? And Shmi as well. It's the two cheshaylos are exclusive of each other. Is it a chiyuv for the tzibur wherever there's a tzibur? Chazal give a chiyuv on the tzibur, and the yochid, even if it wasn't yotze, there's a lashon. There's a lashon in the Who's the Lashon? Chaim Falaji for me. There's a Lashon that from one of, I didn't write it down who it was. I'm not sure I can bring a heart to me. Thank you. Chaim. It's kedai. It's unbelievable. He writes clearly. If there was a tzibur that heard Krias and Hatorah, and there are yechidim that didn't hear it, they can go home gesundheit and sky matakana. It's marvel. Don't hear as long as it's a tzibur. Thank you very much. Okay. What? Yeah, according to this, the tzibur. What's the difference? You're a man without a land. You're a man without a tzibur. He writes. He brings a chasdei David. He brings a chasdei David that because he has the cash on the Taisvus. We quote the Taisvus in Nafnun Beis and Sukkah that Hanafas Sudarim is. You don't have to be yaitz with the bracha. So you don't hear the bracha and still answer. Not a problem. If you have to yaitz with the bracha, then Hanafas to know that he finished doesn't help. If you don't have to yaitz with the bracha, so then you have to hear the entire bracha. So Taisvus says that Taisvus argues that the Rav Yah argues on says that Taisvus you say that you don't have to mitzvah Berchas Torah. But Krias and Torah, how do you hear Krias and Torah? Forget Berchas Torah. But Krias and Torah, how do they hear? They can't hear. It's the size of it was the size of a coliseum. It was a massive. It was a massive shul. It's incredible. So they couldn't hear. So how could you bet Krias and Torah? Okay, he asked everybody asked their Krias and Torah. Hanafas really helps for the bracha, not for Krias and Torah. Pick up your Scheiner. Now you can start talking. So what's Hanafas Sudarim by Krias and Torah? V'rak b'derech Shlomo b'achar Krias u'aklois mishum bo dam adres melech niftor v'batein they can go home. V'oisim shleisham Krias and Torah. If they read by themselves, they don't have to hear. But I saw somewhere. No, I saw somewhere else. Somebody write that there's a key. Just give me a second. There's a key with the takana. What? There's a key with takana. Once there's a tzibur that heard the yachid, doesn't matter. He's mekayim takana through the tzibur hearing the yachid was mekayim takana. I cannot find the nusach that I was looking for now. It's a kadam. Someone academy said that nusach. Sorry, what were you saying?
There's some people in here that they don't have chiyuv.
I'm gonna get there. But no, really. So it's a new tzibur. Possibly it's a new tzibur. So there's a truth information I want to discuss soon. I'll call upon him. There's a Ravan. That Ravan is clear that it's a chayvus gavra. That Ravan is clear it's a chayvus gavra. And it's not a chayvus tzibur. It's not 100%, but that's the pashtus. This is the pashtus in the Shmos. The Ramban Mechamis in the first parak of Megillah says clearly it's a chayvus tzibur. It's a Mufurish Ramban Mechamis. I think the Gemara Daf Hey. He writes clearly it's a chayvus tzibur. Now, really, I don't know if I learned Simon Kuf Memav yet, but you learn Gemara Brachas Daf Ches. Rav Sheshes Ma'ader Api V'Garis. Rav Sheshes, it's brought in Simon Kuf Memav. Somebody, Lashon Shulchan Aruch, what's the Kimshes Chalakar L'Krab Sefer? You can't talk even Divrei Torah, even Ben Gavra L'Gavra. That's Machlekes already. V'afilu Hishtemu L'Parasha. V'yesh Matir Meligrois Perish Lumod B'Lachash Shulchan Aruch. V'yeshomim Shemesh Hatzor V'Tzaisi L'Sefer Torah. If there are 10 people that are listening to learning mutal saper b'divrei Torah. Yesh matir miyishet Torah asayim nasai. The kitzer, a person's learning. Rav Sheshes is not that happy of a garis. He turned away from Krias and Torah and he was learning. Bi'alacha is beside himself. He says, "Shittas u'tumora." It's a Taisus, a Rosh, it's a Perla. The Maimahani Shigris Blacha, Shlo Yivatel Shar Shalom Krias there. You don't want to Chas Shalom to anybody else. You're not hearing yourself. You don't want to stare everybody else. The little kids, you don't stare. But you have to hear Krias Torah. How are you going to the mitzvah? When you know this, the Muday, later you can't hear. So if you say Machmas Asa Talmud Torah, could be what they weren't masakin on him. You could start saying Torah like that. But if it's a chayvus gavra, this person. I feel in Yeshasar that Saisi. What does it help a Gabi today? He's mevatel al kol ish mutul chiv tekonas Ezra. Ube'emes kvar Tom was a kadmin bal shibol leket. Shibol leket asks kash already. And Mela be halacha. He says halacha l'maisi. He's in Mela. He's doichet this halacha me'halacha. Mishnah Berurah says v'lud mustafina. All this is talking about he was Yaitse Krias Hatorah. He was Yaitse already. There's no way you could learn if you're in Shul and they're taking out the Sefer in the lane and you're learning beforehand. You tell you do it quietly, whatever. Mahalchim they're Scheiner to explain this Gemara, but he was Yaitse Krias Hatorah. That's the Bi'alach. If you read the rest of the Sif, it's not much like that. The Mashmur himself says it's not much like that in the Shulchan Aruch. Pashas, most Poskim do not learn like this. It's really Shabbat Leket against Taisus and the Rush. The Pashas, if there's a Chayvus Tzibur or a Chayvus Gavra, it's for Machlekes for Scheiner. And Halachol Nice, it'll be a Machlekes.
What do you say? So this is he's going to hit, but he's part of the tzibur now.
Yeah, but if beforehand he started learning before that, he's Mahader Api. That's Mahader Api V'Garis. He wasn't. I'm not making myself part of the tzibur. Being in the room, I don't have to. It's my das. If I decide to learn before that, some say if you learn before, you start learning before they started learning. That's Mahader Api. That's the idea of Mahader Api. Now, so we have Machlekes or Scheiner, whether it's a Chayvus Gavra or Chayvus Tzibur. There's a Meir now? No. In a few more minutes. So Ramai says it. So there's major Machlekes Rishonim and Achronim as together of Krias there as a Chayvus Tzibur as a Chayvus Gavra. The Mishnah clearly learns as a Chayvus Gavra. He writes if it's between Tefillah Zman Tefillah, between Zman Tefillah and Krias Hatorah, he learns it's a Chayvus Tzibur for sure. Even without that, even if it was a Chayvus Yachid, I can't imagine about Tefillah. You could be theoretically afterwards. Al Kopanim. Some even talk about Tefillah B'tzibur. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't pass on that. But I'm saying Tefillah B'zmana for sure. He says it's gonna take precedence over Krias. Krias could be a Chayvus Tzibur, so you're not telling truth to the Tzibur. Now, Ramesh and the Tshuva, it's a very chashuv. The two very chashuv Tshuvas, small Tshuvas, but chashuv nonetheless. Ramesh writes, so this, what we're saying about if you have to hear, if you missed words, it's totally if it's a Chayvus Gavra or Chayvus Tzibur. If it's a Chayvus Tzibur, it's a nice thing to hear. You're part of the tzibur, but if you missed a word, you missed a pasuk, you missed laning. No, it's a chayvus tzibur. It's not the end of the world if you missed it. If it's a chayvus gavra, the way the Mishabura paskins and the way the Moshe paskins, eliyin im hechzer for l'shama is a pasuk. He negil psukim mechuyev l'shmayim mekol kairi. 3 psukim he has to hear from every. He has to hear v'mshal pachas less than 3 psukim is not yotzei. It means even by the weekday. Takana says where he's learning Monday and Thursday and Shabbos by mincha. There's a chiyuv to hear 3 psukim from 3 aylim. And even if you missed the 4th pasuk by mincha, if by Monday and Thursday a person made a mistake, an oil got 5 psukim and in 1 pasuk he made a mistake. It's I believe you learned that halach already. It's a difference if it's by Shabbos you have to go back because there's a chiyuv to hear the whole parasha. By any other kriya, it's just you have to have 3 psukim. You have to have 10 psukim altogether and 3 psukim per oil. At least shiva kruim. Okay. Sure, he writes like this if in Irba Shabbos that one guy didn't learn 3 psukim, only 2. From those 2 psukim, they have to read somebody else from 3 psukim. Rabbi say this is how Ramesh is passed like the Mishnah Berurah. שכחיוב על כל אחד לשמוע כל התורה במשך השנה משבת בייס שמחת תורה שקוראים ברכה ואף שהם דברים פשוטים וברורים לא ידועים להבין את זה. That's our Ramesh passing clear. There's a chiyuv Chayvus Gavra. He writes so. He passes that as well. What happens? Ramesh writes. What happens if by laning somebody coughed? Somebody remember once. It's a joke, but it's kedai. I remember I was once in Yerushalayim, and the Yerushalmis with a sense of humor, and some guy was blowing his nose during lightning. He was doing tashrat. He was going forever. And I remember the Alti Yerushalmi said, if you lived in Yerushalayim, he was going achar berkeses, and he heard Krias. He thought it was a chamor neir. He thought it was a chamor that's chamor neir. Shul. In the middle of laning, you don't move the chair, you don't blow your nose, and you don't move the chairs. You're in the middle of laning, you sit quietly and you hear it. Afterwards, you make all the noise you want. But the middle of laning, you have to be quiet. Everybody, and a person hears in Parshas Balak. He heard every word from Bereshis, and in Balak, in the middle of one thing, you have to. Forget your own chiyuv. Maybe Yanis thinks it's a chayvus gavra. Ramesh writes, he didn't hear the whole kriya. B'dvar Krias Hatorah, v'adei shetzarach kol adam l'shmaya kol hakriya. Shleich shalei af teva achas. You can't miss a word, shleisham. But the evidence, if you missed a word, if it's Scheiner Chamishi Nishkefel, as long as you have three, as long as you, and Yom Tiv, Chalamayid, all as you need 3 Olim, or 4 Olim, or Shchaydish, Chalamayid 4, Yom Tiv 5, you just need the amount of Olim and the amount of Psukim. But, of the Krias and Pasha, the Shabbos, besides the Chiv of hearing 7 krum of 3 Psukim, even you missed a bit tonight, it's Mela, you have to figure out the Parsha, to figure out afterwards what you're going to learn. But he says, so Mikradin, if you didn't hear a word or for sure a pasuk, mitzad the mini kavua. Now, really, in Eretz Yisrael, they learned the Torah in 3 years. So why do the cycle? I'm Bnei Merav. I'm doing the cycle in 3 years. It doesn't matter. In each place that in Chutz La'aretz, that's the nowadays everywhere that the chiyuv is the chiyuv is what the minig is, and the minig is male from Beishas that we finish every year. So Rashi writes, there's no eights if you missed it. I'm not going to make the Sibur go for a Yachid. Then Yesh Minyan Sholem, Shechsira, what you're asking. V'shmaya, they missed a Torah or a Pasuk. Yesh Lem Achar Tefillah, when there's no Tircha, to take out a Sefer Torah and learn with a bracha. You missed a word? Now, if the Balkara missed the word, then the whole nobody was Yaitse. If a Yachid missed it, it's nothing you could do. You can't even lean. What? God knows, yeah. But if you're living in Spring Hill, there's a machlekes. Listen, Rabbi Shtermoch when he asked the Shaila him, which is like it's machlekes, and he says try. But Al Kopanim the times that Shiev Shalachser, so you shtadel l'shmaya kol kriya, not to miss the word. It's Al Kopanim. There's a major machlekes. There's a major machlekes. Moshe, Mishnah, they're passing clearly. It's a chayvas gavra. That's late. I have to give me another couple minutes. I'll skip the parakol upon him. That now, really, how much do you need? How much do you need? How much do you need of? By the way, if it's chayvas gavra or not, if it's being mitzvah with shemei kaina, if you missed Parsha Zachar, could you be mitzvah with? See Pesach L'Shana, Parsha Kiseitze. You have to tell them about Kartim Maitzi or automatically Shemei Kaina. See Pesach has a truth about that. It's another Hechatim where it's nafkin what we're talking about. I'll call upon him. Now, what happens if there's 10 people that didn't hear Krias and Torah? So then take it away. What if there are only one person? You can't make a bracha. So you know Krias. It doesn't help. There's no chefs. Now, if there's 6, what if there's 6? So that's the machlekes the Chai Adam. That's the machlekes the Chai Adam and the Chayyim holds you need 10. It's getting late. Normally you finish the Maris 9:45 here. Okay, so give me one more minute. I'll call upon him. If you missed the word, Kar was the kainim that you have to be given. There's a lot more to talk about this, but now if you didn't show the right place, just now the kids are just halachas psukas. If you didn't show the right place, if you didn't show the right place, practically it's not going to be enough kamina. Unless the person didn't know where it's like this. If it's in front of you, the amudim are open, it doesn't matter. If it more than that, the machlokes Prima Godim and Derech Chaim will pass himself rachs lahakel like the Prima Godim. If you don't know, if you point to the wrong place, Prima Godim says even if the Om is not in front of you, and even if it's not in that week's parsha, all the different kulas that the halacha brings, Prima Godim says that if you didn't. It's not that I thought we're learning Parshas V'ayra this week. I thought we're learning Parshas, but I just made a mistake where I did it. That's enough of a reason not to have to make a bracha. So practically, it never happens. It'll never cannot ever happen. It's quite impossible to happen. Nobody, the Balkara and the oil didn't know where they're landing. He just pointed the wrong place, the wrong barrel power. But he knew he's laying Parshas boy. Mela is practically not going to have to make a bracha. And I'll tell you the truth. If you, I can't go through it now, but if you look in it's all goodbye to Medrash Ohr Chaim and it's Machlekes Scheiner and Bais Medrash brings. Mishnah in Siman Reish Vav, Paskins. If I made a bracha and I was holding an apple and it fell out, and Bistam in front of me, he'll pass me very paskin Savik brachas lako in Reish Vav. Look at Reish Vav in the Biur Roch and then of Reish Vav. He passed like Ben Gershom and Shlomo. Deal in Hilchos. Here he won't pass like it, but he says the halach is like the sheet that holds that you make a new bracha. But in Hilchos brachas he says not by brachas appears. Look in Reish Vav. It's Archi and Gadol. If the kid lanes outside. Moshe writes in the Tshuva, if it's techni dibur, But if he has it side of his technically dibur, when the kids saw it, that's considered. So if we said if he's looking already outside, that's a problem. But Yod Rama, if it's technically dibur, it's nish gefährlich. That's still considered part of that. Kriya, you have such a sad Ramesha. What? Yeah, if it's technically dibur. That's why he says he has a problem. It's technically, it won't be if you read outside. He talks about the Balkari reading out the Chumashim outside, and to look inside. And he said it'll be misiachas to the Kriya. The Rashi says technically dibur it'll be okay. Now just another Hatorah and we'll stop. The Ashari Ephraim writes by Kriya Ksiv you have to read it inside. By Kriya Ksiv you have to read it inside. So Batchayim. Wherever it's a Kriya Ksiv, especially in Nach, it's left, right, and center. Yishkaven, Yishkalena. Wherever it's a Kriya Ksiv, you have to read it inside. And he brings Rabbi from Shem Hashem. Shem Hashem doesn't have to read inside. Yesh loaded on the Rai. I don't know. It could be that's halacha, but the Shem Hashem there's like Shem Hashem Yichtav and Nikra, but there's two things. I think my Shver told me this. He said the Shem Hashem has a reading way and a writing way. There's two ways of Eisidruk in B'ksiv. It's one way in B'kri, but that is the way you read the word. Yud Kei Vav Kei is read. Is Shem Aleph Dalet. But Kriya Ksiv is like a different word. It's not the same word that's read another way. So it could be a bit different. And actually, halacha ma'asvar, you should look inside, even by Kriya Ksiv, and we'll stop here.